if you have those exams coming up and it's already exam season already, those exams are not far away. If you need to lock in and actually get yourself to start studying because you've been procrastinating all this time, here's the exact kind of routine that I went on to go from procrastinating, YouTube addicted little kid to super productive and onto it, to get these kind of results in my A levels, to graduate high school 1 year early, and to actually also start going to the gym and actually feeling really happy and fulfilled at that time. I remember that was a very happy period of my life. Here's the exact technique that I used to lock the fuck in. The first thing that I did to focus on was the dopamine detox. The dopamine detox is this idea of cutting out all these bad habits, of, all these bad habits that are kind of not very good for you, right? It's nothing crazy. You're not doing crack or anything, but like things like the screens, like the video games, like scrolling on your phone, like watching random bullshit TV shows, right? All of these kind of bad habits that are kind of distractions that aren't very good for you. They actually are barriers to you doing the good habits, right? They are barriers, right? But you doing more of these habits means you become more attached to them. You're more drawn to them. You're more motivated to do them. The more video games you play, the more you're motivated to just play video games all day, right? And so you have this motivation to play video games, but then you lose out on all the motivation to study and work hard and achieve something in real life, right? You start to do this and you start to overstimulate yourself, and so you start to become drawn to scrolling and numbing yourself on your phone, right? So that takes away from your studying, so you're not able to study as well as you could be. So what we have to do is we have to drastically reduce those bad habits and dramatically increase our good habits as well. This will also have the great side effect of improving your mental health, right? Mental health is always this kind of vague thing that's like, oh, what is mental health? Mental health is really complicated and all that kind of stuff, right? But in reality, it's really not. It's really not. Like, it's mental health is remarkably simple. Just stop doing the things which are making you depressed, right? Stop doing the things like, you scroll for 4 hours a day. Of course, that's making you depressed. You play video games and you have no motivation to do anything else. And you feel like, you're not achieving as much as you could be. So that kind of thing is making you more depressed. And if you remove it and you start to get used to life without video games, you start to remove pretty much all the bad habits that are not good for you, I'm basically telling you to have less fun, right? I'm telling you to not enjoy the good things in life. And, like, that sounds really boring. That sounds sad. Like, video games are the only thing that make me happy in life, right? But it's precisely because of you play video games so much that you so overstimulate yourself so much that you produce like spikes of dopamine here. It's just precisely because of that why you feel your mood is so low in general, right? Because you get these spikes of dopamine up here, right? But then when you come back to real life, it's like kind of down here, right? And you feel that contrast. You feel that real life is so boring compared to scrolling on TikTok, compared to playing video games. So you'd rather just stay up here, right? So you'd rather always want to do this because you'd rather just stimulate yourself more. And like, I remember playing Valorant for like 4 hours and I would feel like so groggy and tired. And I'd try and study and it'd be like, wow, this is really hard, right? It's really hard for me to study after playing like hours of video games, right? And so what if we could actually remove that, right? If we never had that kind of stimulation overall, right? If we never actually had that dopamine hit, the stimulation, we actually never feel that drop as well. We wouldn't feel that contrast. We wouldn't feel so bad after that contrast. And actually, if you start to do more of the good habits, start to do that, you're going to feel more fulfilled. If you've been studying hard, you've been working hard as well, you've improved your mental health, you're going to start to feel more fulfilled. So your overall baseline will start to increase. You'll start to feel more fulfillment, happiness. You'll start to feel proud of yourself, right? As you get on this routine, you start to do more of the good habits. You'll start to see some of the results of your labor. And you'll be like, wow, actually, I'm starting to feel more fulfilled because I'm working hard to the goals that I set for myself. I'm working hard and I can see the results. You feel more fit, you feel more healthy, you feel better about yourself. That kind of enjoyment and fulfillment is so much stronger than any kind of pleasure, any kind of like fleeting pleasure that you get from a hit of dopamine from video games, right? It's so much stronger to have like an overall happiness with yourself. You're like, yeah, I'm pretty happy with myself. I'm content with myself, right? I want you to be able to remove all your bad habits, to be really onto it with studying, to fix the rest of your life, right? To feel like your life is on the right track. I want that feeling for you, okay? This sounds great and all, right? I hope you like actually believe me and tell me and believe me where I say like, yeah, all bad habits, right? I want all bad habits to be gone. I want you to not have any vices, right? There's always this like idea like, oh yeah, every guy has his vices or anything like that. But what if you didn't? What if you didn't have any of the modern vices? What if like you could save those 4 hours of screen time or 8 hours of screen time and you could use it towards other things? What if you could, read as a hobby, right? What if you could do that? You could exercise and you could do all the other things. You could hang out with your friends and study as well, right? All this time that you use in bad habits, what if you could just use it for good habits and then you wouldn't ever feel like you're running out of time? If you get rid of all the bad habits as well, you actually start to realize that real life gets more interesting, right? All this time you spend on screen makes real life feel relatively boring, right? You can stimulate yourself all the way here by scrolling and scrolling. So that's boring. So then when you try and do something in real life, like studying, like going on a walk, you realize that you'll think that life is boring, that there's nothing interesting. It's because it's not as stimulating. But if you start to actually cut out all of the rest of the bad habits, you'll start to find enjoyment in studying. You'll start to find that the rest of your life becomes more enjoyable. You'll start to find exercising and studying. If you start to improve your mental health as well, like imagine if you cut out all these bad habits and you had really good mental health. Do you think you'd struggle with studying? Do you think you would find it really hard? Maybe you would actually start to enjoy it. You start to crave it. You might actually start to like exercise. Might actually start to actually want to learn new things, right? That is the kind of result that I want to get you for this dopamine detox, right? I want you to be able to do the good habits automatically by cutting out the bad ones. Surely, once you cut out like the last one, right? For me, it was scrolling on my phone, right? Like once I cut out like Instagram, for example, I made so much progress because I automatically started to do the studying more, right? I automatically started to do the work more. That became one of the fun parts of my life because of that, right? Because I started to cut out all the pleasureful, fun activities, right? It's because of this idea of this dopamine detox. This dopamine detox is one of the core ideas inside of my course below. Have a look at that if you're interested. Top link in the description below. That's going to help you a lot more. But, this may sound good and all, right? This dopamine detox, getting rid of all the bad habits, having amazing mental health. But then it's like, oh, how do I even get there? What would I even do, right? Well, here are the 2 number 1 tips which will help you really create that lifestyle, right? To help you transition into that lifestyle to get you really locking in, right? The first thing that I did was creating a timetable. I remember following Hamza for this idea, for this timetable, right? Every day you should create a timetable, especially if you're in exam season, right? If you're in exam season, you don't have class anymore. So you can create a day, you can create the perfect day for yourself. Every day can be the same, right? You can choose when you want to study, I think studying in the morning is the best, but you can choose when to study, when to eat, when to do anything, right? And so you can create your perfect timetable and write out what you do every single day. And if you create a timetable like that, where everything is consistent and you try and stick with it as much as possible, you try and stick with it so that you wake up at the same time, you eat at the same time, you sleep at the same time every single day, then if you start to go through that and you timetable out everything, you're going to automatically start to act out that timetable. For me, for example, I have a morning routine which I've done for months now. I've done the same morning routine for months. And because of this morning routine, I know that I have the couple of steps that I do. I do the meditation every single day. I do meditation every single day. And I do the great gratitude, I drink some coffee, and every day I pretty much sit down and work at the same time every single day. Because of this routine that I just follow, and I know I'm starting work now. It's 7 o'clock. It's work time, right? So creating this routine will create that kind of regularity in yourself. And it also will remove some of the uncertainty that you have, right? I think a lot of the reason why we don't do a lot of the hard tasks is because it feels hard. It feels physically hard, right? It feels really mentally hard, even if it's not actually that hard in the first place. It's not actually that hard to study. You just need to open up your book, right? Like inside of your mind, you might think, oh yeah, I want to get my A stars. I want to get an A star, but I don't know what to do. Like, I have to do so much. Really, all you have to do is just make some decisions, make some plans, right? What are you going to study? I'm going to study. When are you going to study? What are you going to study? What should I do? You should do a past paper, right? So creating those kind of plans and creating a routine for yourself where you think like, yeah, every day at like 7 a.m., I'm going to study physics papers. Every day at 10, I'm going to do. Creating this kind of routine will help create that kind of regularity that will help you keep you away from those bad habits, right? Because if you assign yourself some tasks and do something like that, you're way less likely to actually scroll. You're way less likely to just like default to scrolling on Instagram reels, right? You're way more likely to actually lock in and do the work. If you give yourself that specific task, tomorrow at 7, I'm going to do this. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., I'm going to do this. Tomorrow at 4 p.m., I'm going to exercise. Try and schedule as much of your life as possible. Create that routine as much as possible. And, you can look at my routine. I use Google Calendar, right? Create that routine as much as possible. And because it's exam season, you can make every day as similar as possible. You can optimize it. You can create the perfect timetable as well. And in creating this kind of perfect timetable, you might not actually be able to do it. That's just one thing. You might not actually be able to do it. And, sometimes life happens. There are distractions. You go over time. You allocated this much time for this task, but it took you longer or shorter, whatever, right? Things don't go to plan. But the thing, but like this mindset that I learned from Hamza was like, it's okay. That's completely fine. Like you might not actually be able to because you're not, you haven't leveled up yet. You still like have this need to use your phone because it is hard to undo, right? It is hard to undo. That's perfectly understandable. That's actually okay because even if you follow like 40% of this timetable, you'll still have a much better day than if you had no timetable at all. It'll still be a much better day because even if you only follow a little bit, right? It'll still be better than if you just woke up at a random time and maybe decided to study. It will still be so much better, right? It'll still be so much better. And this can be like a goal for you to strive for. You can think like, oh yeah, like I'll try and strive for 50% of the timetable. But eventually you become better at it. It becomes a bit of a skill as you internalize it more. You become better at internalizing this timetable. Then slowly but surely you can get like 80% of the timetable, else 70%. You'll become better at it, right? This is something you'll become better at. I'd advise you to limit your screen time as much as possible. But if you're still like transitioning away from video games or transitioning away from screens, honestly, you could just even throw that into your timetable. Like you do that in the afternoon after you've studied, right? After you've done the work, after you've gone to the gym or for something, right? Like over time, you're going to get better. Over time, you're going to be able to follow the schedule better. So just try and do that and try and follow it as much as possible. This should be the dream lifestyle, okay? So also for the dream lifestyle, right? You should allocate a lot of sleep. Give yourself a lot of time to sleep so that, your brain is fresh, that you can actually live a good life, right? So you don't have to be so stressed. So give yourself a lot of sleep, exercise when you want, start doing what you want, right? This timetable is up to you, but I'll just show you my timetable. Try that for inspiration, right? Another one for breaking these kind of bad habits is also to change your environment, right? It's this idea of moving and resetting your environment, right? So, you built up all these habits that after school, maybe you go on your phone and you have your phone in your room next to you. So you go on your phone when you wake up, something ridiculous like that. And so if we want to stop doing that, we actually have to break these habits. We have to break these habits using some principles that I learned from Atomic Habits over there. What we have to do is we have these internalized habits inside of us. So we got to break these habits by changing the environment. So change your environment. Maybe create a new study space for yourself. Occupy a new room, sit in a new room, like sit in your mom's room, for example. sit in your parents' room to go study, for example. And, you'll create new habits from that. Create a workspace, clean up your desk, put your phone in a different room. Make your environment as conducive to like studying, or just change up your environment so that you have less access to all of these distractions, to all of these bad habits. Install like blockers onto your browser so that you can't waste so much time when you're supposed to be studying. Create some barriers and friction for yourself, right? Like honestly, just unplug your computer, unplug your gaming PC, or unplug your PS4 or something like that, right? Do something like that and put it away so that's a bit harder for yourself to actually start doing it, right? That little bit of friction is actually really powerful, genuinely. Like make it less visible for yourself so that it's not always inside of your mind, right? Turn off your notifications so you're not always drawn to your phone so that you don't compulsively pick it up. All these little things that will add up, that will create barriers for yourself that you can do to change your environment, right? You can literally just change your room, right? You could move furniture around so that you're in a different place. So you just reset your environment so that you can shock your system into creating new habits, right? This is basically an idea of a reset for yourself. It's like moving to a different place so that you can become a different person, right? Like that's very common. A lot of people, when they move to a different country or move school, for example, they blossom and they become the person they really want to be, right? This is a similar kind of reset. You're psychologically moving, right? You're thinking about doing something different. You create a new routine for yourself. You reset yourself so that you actually lock in. And the third thing that I did to keep up with this dopamine detox is always remembering the end goal. Always reminding myself, why do I do this, right? Because the thing is, right, abstaining from all of these bad habits is hard, right? It is going to be hard. There are times where you're going to fall back and just scroll on your phone. And it is hard, and you might feel like giving up. You'll be like, well, what's even the point? But you have to remember what the point was. Why did you do this? Why do you want to do this? It's because of these results that you want, right? You have to remember them, right? You want these results, so you do it for this, right? I remember back then I had this dream. I always wanted to go to this top university. I wanted to go to Australia, for example. I wanted to study this program which needed really good grades. I had this dream that I wanted to achieve. I had this big goal, and that involved studying, so I worked really hard on studying. I was just dreaming about it, visualizing my dream results, thinking, oh yeah, imagine me getting all these amazing grades and getting those scholarships or whatever, right? Visualize them, right? Imagine yourself already getting them and remind yourself of some of those goals. Create some reminders for yourself so you don't forget why you're doing this, right? So you remember why you're sacrificing some of this comfort and pleasure, right? Remind yourself of why you're doing it whenever you feel like it's a bit hard, right? Having a greater goal will keep you aligned and keep you on this journey of locking in, of being more disciplined, of working hard. But it'll also make you feel happier because you're on progress to achieve a goal that you set for yourself. It's an amazing cycle, and it's genuinely reminding yourself of these goals is very important. Why do you think I have these, right? Why do you think I have these on the wall, right? They're not just messages to you. They're messages to myself as well. They remind me to be the person that I want to be, the kind of person that achieves the kind of results that I want. They're reminders to myself. So you could create these reminders. Write down your goals. Write down what you want to achieve. Write down the dream result, the dream university, the dream results. Do all these things to remind yourself of why you do this. Because a strong why is much stronger than any kind of pull of video games or screens or anything. Having that strong why is very important. If you start to implement these three things, I'm sure you're going to dramatically cut down your screen time. I'm sure you might even start to really get rid of all your bad habits. If you start to replace them with some of these good habits like exercising, like meditation, for example, reading books, all of these things which you know are very healthy for you, which you know are good for you, doing these things and on top of your studying as well. If you start to implement them, you're going to have such a good life. Genuinely, you're going to have such a good life where you automatically start to enjoy studying. You'll feel fulfilled. You'll feel like, you have lots of time. You can do all the things that you want. You can actually be on track to Achieve those dream results, those goals that you set for yourself. Imagine how fulfilled you're going to be if you do that, right? You're healthy, you slept well, you're working hard on your goals. Like literally, like what else do you need, right? You're going to feel so fulfilled, which will be so much stronger than any like fleeting pleasure, than anything like any kind of hits of dopamine that playing video games is going to do. Video games are fun, but there are long-term trade-offs. And I would much rather work towards my goal and feel very fulfilled than to play video games and get that pleasure hits. I hope that you have a similar kind of opinion. And if you implement these 4 steps, I'm sure you can lock in super hard for your exams. If you found that kind of interesting and you want extra help for your exams, especially if you're an A-level IGCSE student, have a look in the top link in the description below. That's going to help you out even more than this video. Thank you for watching. Implement these steps and lock the fuck in. Thank you. Bye-bye.